How does belief work mentally in the mind? Beliefs are more than simple thoughts. They are representations of imaginative and emotional content that link an individual's past experiences with future behavior. The mental processing of information and the formation of beliefs involve a complex interplay of cognitive, emotional, and social factors. Here is a breakdown of how belief works mentally. 1. Formation and development. Early experiences. Many core beliefs are instilled during childhood through interactions with parents, teachers, and culture. These early experiences shape an initial worldview. Social influence. Interactions with people and social institutions significantly influence beliefs. This can include family, friends, media, political groups, and religious institutions. Social learning theory explains how beliefs and values are adopted from those around us. Personal experiences. Direct experiences, especially those with a strong emotional component, shape beliefs. The availability heuristic gives more weight to readily available information, often from personal experience. 2. Cognitive processing. Confirmation bias. The brain tends to seek out and interpret information that confirms existing beliefs while ignoring contradictory evidence. This can reinforce existing beliefs. Belief perseverance. People are often resistant to changing their beliefs, even when presented with contradictory evidence. Cognitive biases. The brain uses mental shortcuts or cognitive biases to simplify information processing. These shortcuts can sometimes lead to distorted or inaccurate beliefs. Evaluation of evidence. When evaluating claims or arguments, people often rely on how those claims make them feel. Emotions can serve as a form of internal evidence that influences judgment. 3. Emotional influence. Emotional resonance. Beliefs formed during emotionally intense experiences tend to be more deeply ingrained and resistant to change. Mood congruence. Current mood can influence how information is processed and what information is more likely to be noticed, encoded, and remembered. Motivated reasoning. Emotions can contribute to motivated reasoning, where individuals are more likely to accept information that supports their pre-existing beliefs, especially if those beliefs are tied to their values or identity. 4. Neural correlates. Brain regions. Neuroimaging studies have identified several brain regions involved in belief formation and updating, including the prefrontal cortex, parietal lobe, and ventral striatum. Emotional brain centers. Emotional centers like the amygdala play a role in processing and weighting information, particularly when it aligns or conflicts with deeply held values. Dopamine. The neurotransmitter dopamine is involved in reinforcing beliefs by creating a sense of pleasure when encountering information that confirms existing beliefs. In summary, belief is not just a passive acceptance of information, but a dynamic and often unconscious process shaped by a complex interplay of personal experiences, social influences, cognitive biases, emotions, and the brain's internal architecture. This highlights why beliefs can be so powerful in shaping reality and behavior, and why changing deeply held beliefs can be challenging. Is belief in God biological? New research finds that humans have natural tendencies to believe in gods and an afterlife. Research suggests that people across many different cultures instinctively believe that some part of their mind, soul, or spirit lives on after death. Beliefs work mentally in the brain through a complex interplay of cognitive and neural processes. Here's a breakdown of how it works. 1. Perception and valuation. Beliefs begin with perceiving information from the environment and assigning it personal meaning and value. This process can happen pre-linguistically and quickly, influencing immediate actions and behaviors. 2. Formation of beliefs. Brain as a belief engine, the brain actively seeks to find meaning in incoming information and form expectations about how the world works. Mental maps. Beliefs are like internal maps that help the brain navigate and quickly categorize and evaluate information, allowing for rapid decision-making. Categories of beliefs. Beliefs can be categorized based on the processes involved in their formation. empirical beliefs, formed instantaneously based on perceptions of objects, below conscious awareness. Relational beliefs, also formed instantaneously, based on perceptions of events and interactions. Conceptual beliefs, more complex, language-based beliefs about narratives, cultural norms, and abstract concepts. 3. Neural processes, brain areas involved. Specific brain areas are involved in the formation and updating of beliefs, including the dorsal medial frontal cortex, presupplementary motor area, pre-SMA, parietal cortex, and ventral striatum. Creditation model. The creditation model suggests that beliefs are the result of neural processes involving perception, valuation, and memory, linking prior experience with future behavior. 4. Beliefs and decision-making. Beliefs strongly influence how individuals interpret information and assess situations, guiding behavior and decision-making. They filter perceptions, leading to conclusions and decisions that often reinforce existing beliefs. Inaccurate beliefs can lead to errors in judgment and undesirable outcomes. 5. Belief perseverance. People tend to hold on to established beliefs, even when faced with contradictory evidence, a phenomenon known as belief perseverance. This can be influenced by factors like cognitive dissonance, confirmation bias, and the ego defense mechanism. In summary, belief is a fundamental cognitive function driven by underlying brain processes that involve perceiving, valuing, and integrating information to form representations of the world that guide our actions and decisions, while also being influenced by emotional and social factors. What is a mental faculty? A mental faculty refers to an inherent cognitive or perceptual power of the mind, enabling various mental processes and functions. It's essentially a specific ability or capacity of the mind, such as memory, reason, or perception. Here's a more detailed breakdown. Faculty psychology views the mind as composed of distinct, separate faculties that can be developed through exercise. Examples of mental faculties include attention, the ability to focus mental effort; memory, the capacity to retain and recall past experiences; reason, the capacity for rational thought and judgment; perception, the ability to interpret sensory information; will, the capacity for conscious choice and decision-making. Mental faculties are not always seen as entirely separate. Some theories suggest they work together to form a whole, while others emphasize their distinct roles according to Wikipedia. Modern AI research sometimes models mental functions by drawing inspiration from how the mind works, suggesting the relevance of mental faculties in understanding artificial intelligence. Is prayer a mental faculty? While prayer is often viewed as a spiritual or religious practice, it can also be understood as involving mental faculties. Prayer can engage various cognitive processes like memory, imagination, and the will, making it a complex mental activity. It's not solely a mental faculty, but it certainly utilizes and interacts with them. Here's a more detailed look. Mental faculties involved. Prayer, particularly mental prayer, engages faculties like the intellect, understanding, memory, and will. Cognitive processes. Prayer is linked to cognitive processes such as perception, language, affect, emotions, self-concept, and social cognition. Not just vocalization. While vocal prayer involves speaking, mental prayer is an internal process of the mind and affections, involving reflection and contemplation, exploration and connection. In prayer, individuals may use their imagination to explore spiritual concepts, ponder religious texts, or connect with the divine. Potential for well-being. Prayer, especially when combined with positive emotions and communal practice, can be a resource for mental well-being, potentially reducing stress and fostering hope, according to research from the National Institutes of Health, NIH. Potential for negative effects. Some studies indicate that negative emotions during prayer or beliefs about an impersonal God might be linked to negative mental health outcomes, according to research from the National Institutes of Health, NIH. Is believed a faculty of the mind? In a broad sense, believing can be considered a mental faculty or, more accurately, a function of the mind. Here's why. Beliefs are mental representations, internal models the brain uses to understand the world and direct behavior. This involves the mental process of gaining knowledge and understanding through thoughts and senses. Believing is a brain function. Recent neuroscience research suggests that beliefs come from fundamental brain processes that give effective meaning to objects and events, enabling goal setting, decision-making, and navigating the environment. The neural processes that create beliefs seem to have contributed to brain evolution. Beliefs are intertwined with cognitive functions. Beliefs are seen as a form of propositional attitude, involving a mental stance on a proposition's validity, a key concept in cognitive science and philosophy of mind. They connect to other cognitive processes like perception. Beliefs can influence how the world is perceived. Memory. Beliefs are stored in memory and can be retrieved, influencing thoughts and actions. Reasoning. Beliefs provide a framework for reasoning and evaluating information. Decision-making. Beliefs are a crucial basis for making decisions. Intuition. The mind's pattern recognition system, built from experiences, can generate intuitive insights that might be related to beliefs. Beliefs are dynamic. They can be updated based on new information and evidence. In summary, while some might distinguish between belief as a noun referring to the stored content or state and believing as a verb referring to the ongoing process, believing is a key function of the mind, facilitated by various cognitive processes and underlying neural mechanisms. It allows interpreting experiences, understanding the world, and guiding behavior. How many emotions are there? 27 distinct emotions. A study identified 27 distinct emotions, including admiration, adoration, aesthetic appreciation, amusement, anxiety, awe, awkwardness, boredom, calmness, confusion, craving, disgust, emphatic pain, entrancement, excitement, fear, horror, interest, joy, nostalgia, relief, romance, sadness, satisfaction, sexual desire, and surprise. There isn't a single, universally agreed upon number of emotions. Different theories propose various numbers, ranging from a few basic emotions to a vast spectrum of complex feelings. Some prominent theories suggest 6, 7, or 8 basic emotions, while other research identifies 27 distinct categories. Ultimately, the exact number depends on how emotions are categorized and defined. Here's a breakdown of some key perspectives. Ekman's 6 basic emotions. Psychologist Paul Ekman proposed that happiness, sadness, anger, fear, disgust, and surprise are universally recognized and expressed. Plutchik's 8 primary emotions. Robert Plutchik's theory includes joy, trust, fear, surprise, sadness, disgust, anger, and anticipation, often depicted on a wheel of emotions. 27 distinct emotions. A study by the University of California, Berkeley identified 27 distinct categories of emotions through analyzing responses to various stimuli, according to MedicineNet. The practical answer: ultimately, the number of emotions can be vast, as emotions can be combined and experienced in complex ways. Copyright 2025 BA Success, org, BS, sharing digitization conservation of what we have learned. Educational purpose only. Listen, learn, share. All right reserved.